All right, guys. So this is level 2 on delta math about solve the quadratic equation for all values of x in simplest form. Okay, so like what we discussed yesterday, we're going to do like a reverse PEMDAS, right? Because the goal is to isolate x. Right now, there are two things that matter in the left side, which is the negative 42 and also the square. So we have to get rid of the negative 42 first. So we have to take the opposite of subtraction, or negative, which is positive. So we do add 42 on both sides. And the reason why we want to do that is so that negative 42 cancel out, right? Sums to 0. Okay. Then we get 3x plus 3 squared equals 3. Because negative 39 plus 42 is 3. Now we want to get rid of the square. So in order to get rid of the square, we have to square root both sides. So in order to do that, we do this, okay? Again, the goal of taking the square root is so that the square right here cancel out, right? Because the square root cancels the square. So don't forget, if you take a square root on the left side, you also take the square root on the right. So we get this. 3x plus 3 plus or minus square root of 3. Now this is something different from yesterday's lesson because this is not a perfect square. All right, so we have to keep the square root intact like this. And don't forget the plus or minus. Okay, now then what do we do? How do we find out the solution? Well, it's the same thing. Right now, the 3x still have the plus 3, right? So actually what we can do is we can subtract 3 on both sides like this. And the reason why I want to do that is so I can get rid of positive 3 using negative 3. Okay, however, root 3 and 3, they're not like terms, right? So you cannot add them or subtract them. So what's going to happen is I'm going to just write 3x, bring down 3x. I will bring down negative 3 like this. Okay, so I bring down negative 3 here. I keep the plus or minus like this. And I keep the root 3. Okay, because they're not like terms. I cannot add them or subtract them unless I want a decimal. Okay, they're actually like terms, but if you add them, it's going to be decimal. Sorry, they're like terms. So, well, 3x here. I still want just x. I don't want 3 in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 3 like this. And the reason why I want to divide by 3 is so that I can isolate the x, because the goal is to figure out what is x, right? This divides to 1. And now what's going to happen is I will get x like this. I cancel out the 3 and I got negative 3 plus or minus square root of 3 over 3. Now, how do I write it down on delta math, Ms. Ambal? Well, when you write down your answer, you can, let's see, you can use, the answer is 3 plus or minus square root of 3, right? So you can put like a parenthesis there over 3. And you can just remove the parentheses later. When you submit answer like this. Oops, it's wrong. Oh, I forgot. There was no negative. Yeah. Anyways, it's supposed to be negative. I just write it wrong there. All right, let's do another one. So, okay, now you might get a problem that looks like this. Notice how the square is inside the parentheses, not outside the parentheses. So actually what you need to do first is to distribute the 25 in that parentheses, okay? Again, you only do this if the square is inside this parentheses, okay? So when we distribute 25 to x squared, you get 25x squared, right? Minus 25 times 1 is just 25 plus 19 equals 10. Now, is there any in here that are like terms? Yes, there are. In the left side, you'll see negative 25 and 19. These two are like terms, so we can combine them, okay? So now we have 25x squared. Negative 25 plus 19 is just what? Negative 6 equals 10. Okay, let me just rewrite it in here so it's clear. So now we're dealing with 25x squared minus 6 equals 10. All right, so we want to figure out what is x, right? We still have negative 6 in here, so we need to add 6 on both sides. Okay, the reason why I want to add 6 is so that the negative 6 sums to 0, cancels out. Now I'm left with 25x squared equals 16. Okay, now I want to isolate the x, so I still have 25 here, so I need to get rid of that 25. So I'm going to divide by 25. All right, oops, 25 and 25 divides to 1, and I'm left with x squared equals 16 over 25. Okay, I'm just gonna use my pen, the drawing tool, sorry. X squared equals 16 over 25. All right, now remember, how do we get rid of a square? Think about it for a sec. We have to take the square root, right? So the square root will cancel out the square, which gives me just x squared. I mean x, sorry. The square will go bye-bye. And we're left, don't forget, we want to put the plus and minus sign when we take a square root, right? Now, how do I take a square root of 16 over 25, Miss Amber? Well, what you can do is actually, let's go to desmos.com. Use the graphing calculator. What is the square root of 16 over 25? It's 0.8, right? Let's look at the fraction. It's actually 4 over 5. So we can go here and let's put this as 4 over 5. Okay, this is 4 over 5. So there you go. That's your answer. So let's just write it down here. Plus or minus 4 over 5. Let's see if this is right. Okay, so there you go. All right.